Today we're going to showcase a 1978 Dodge Aspen Super Coupe. One of 531 made in 1978 only by Chrysler. This was during the late 70s when Chrysler was about bankrupt and were running out of money. They decided to make a bunch of cars in 78 to try and get Richard Petty back into NASCAR while racing a Dodge or a Plymouth. They made the 78 street kit cars, which had 43s, which some may call the Richard Petty editions. Whereas this one was a little bit different. It came on 15x8 wheels on all four corners with a 245 60 tire. So they're pretty wide in all fours. These are factory fender flares. They came with a chin spoiler that went across from fender flare to fender flare. They were what you could call the Chrysler factory wide body kit. And it came with a 3-piece rear spoiler, which as you can see this one still has, and factory louvers. They were offered only in one color only for Dodge and one color only for Plymouth. And they were Sunfire Metallic. This one you can see a little bit of. It's basically brown, what you call it, and they would do a flat black from here forward onto the hood. And yeah, they were two-tone, and they threw these stripes on there, and they called them a Super Coupe instead of just a regular Dodge Aspen. And yeah, they 531 made. There's not that many left to know and still exist. We picked this one up out of Toledo, Ohio. We tracked it down. It's actually an original Michigan car, and so it's back home where it should be. And yeah, we did everything last year. We did the motor, transmission, put an 8 3/4 rear end in it with 391 gears. We rebuilt the front end, all new brake lines, all new brakes, everything. And we set the whole car up basically to run autocross. We have a STCA track about 25 minutes from the house. And everyone that has these cars pretty much just does basic car show stuff with them. And Chrysler built these cars to go roundy round, corner and all that stuff. They had rear sway bar and everything. And so we figured, we might as well do what Chrysler intended. And it's by far not the nicest one out there, but it's better than it sitting in a field somewhere. The motor dynoed about 361 horse. We put 308 swirl port heads on it, which are off of late 80s Dodge pickup. One of the best cast iron heads out there, in my opinion, and engine shop's opinion. It's a built 727 with reverse manual valve body, and we did a 2400 stall converter on it. It's still the factory slap shift, is what you would call it. Yeah, we just left it stock, pretty much. And we're gonna go on actually a cross country honeymoon trip. My wife and I just got married this year, and we're gonna take this car from pretty much West Michigan all the way down to Mobile, Alabama. And there's a car show down there in Mobile called Mopars on the Battleships. And I guess they throw down some gangplanks and you get to drive your cars up on a battleship. So we'll do a whole segment on us driving all the way out there for that. But yeah, that's 1978 Dodge Aspen Super Coupe. One of 531 made, and there's a registry for these, and there's probably about 85 to 90 of them left in the world by our accounting so far. And so it's a car not everyone has, or car that everyone would fix. This car, it had rotted out subframes basically from the firewall forward on both sides. We cut both of those off, and then undid the spot welds on both fender aprons, from the floors and all that. We replaced all the subframes forward with 86 Fifth Avenue rails, frame rails, which are the exact same as these cars, floors and subframe wise, but with a lot better steel. So it's everything you would want. That's if you're looking to buy one of these cars, you got to make sure the subframes are solid. It's if you know what you're doing, it can be a 4 or 5 hour job, but you got to source the parts. You got to cut them out of another car. Nobody makes anything aftermarket for these, so you want to try and get one that's in nice shape, or you got to have the skills to make it in nice shape. So, yeah, this one's in pretty nice condition besides the subframe problem, which we already remedied, and everything is there. The fender flares, the spoiler, the fender flares and chin spoiler are specific to Super Coupes. The RTs and everything had different fender flares. So, luckily this one was complete. We didn't have to try and source anything, because it's something that a lot of times, even if you do have the money, you're going to look for a lot of years, and you might not be able to even find it or buy it. And if you do end up buying it, it may cost more than what you paid for the car. Just rare parts. Nobody makes them aftermarket. There's not enough market to make them aftermarket. And I mean, that's what you got to go with. And this one, it is not a T-top version. They made 35 of the T-tops. But, I mean, you're still talking, once you break down the T-top numbers, 490 whatever cars that are left, or that were made. How many are left? It's not many. These cars rotted, and they rotted bad. So, but yeah, this is a 1978 Dodge Aspen Super Coupe. And this is just one of our many Aspen and Volare cars that we have in our collection. This is what we specialize in. It's not what everybody's into, but it's guaranteed if you take this to a car show, you won't see another one of it. And that's kind of what we get a kick out of. So stay tuned. We're going to have lots more on our other cars. We got lots of projects coming up. We're doing, we have to rebuild the 8 3/4 that we swapped in this car, the rear wheel bearings. We didn't go with green bearings the first time. We went with the regular Chrysler cone bearings, and don't really like them. They don't feel confident in them. So we're going to do a green bearing swap on that. And then we'll do a segment on this one, which we'll have another video for. This is the 1980 Dodge Aspen. Basically just a bare bone stock grandma car is what it started life out as. And it had nothing going for it besides it was rock solid. Heated and cooled garage its entire life. I mean, there's no rust on this car. I mean, it is just gorgeous. The paint is gorgeous. Everything works. The radio, the rear defrost, the heat, everything is perfect on this car. But it was a slant 6.1 barrel. Had nothing cool about it. So, yeah, this is the kind of the bruiser of our fleet. I built this car using junkyard parts. I mean, the motor is out of a 1977 Dodge RV. So a little bit of David Freiberger in there doing an RV swap. Just a 360. We put an Edelbrock Performer on it with a Edelbrock AVS2 carburetor. And it's just we put a 904 behind it. We built the 904, reverse manual valve body. We put some 76 to 77 Dodge Aspen RT Super Pack stripes on it, as the Super Pack package was a package to the side of the RTs where you got the louvers, the rear spoiler, the fender flares, and a chin spoiler. 1980, they didn't offer that, and so kind of juice this one up a little bit. This is all parts that I pulled from junkyards. You can still go out and get lucky and buy this kind of stuff. All the rear spoiler, the fender flares, the louvers, that's all junkyard stuff. Along with the motor. The transmission, I pulled out of another car that I parted out. And it's just bare bones. If you went to the junkyard, you could build this stuff if you still have junkyards that are this old, which I know is getting hard to find. This was an original bench seat car. We put buckets into it, from a 79 Dodge Aspen. Buddy and I parts out these cars. Had him stashed in his back room. Gave him I think it was $150 for those. And then I got the matching back seat, which my lighting kind of sucks at the moment. We're working on fixing that. But we swapped those in there. We got a B&M ratchet shifter. I mean, this is a bare bones stock build that you can build from essentially your junkyard. And you know, we put 15 by 10 wheels on the back with a 295/50 tire on it. And then we have a 215/70/14 front tire. So smallest tire Cooper makes on the front, biggest tire Cooper makes on the back. Gives it that nice 80s rake. We got Lakewood traction bars in this thing. We just made it if there was a kid in the 80s that had this car, and you know, the 80s parking lot high school look is what we were going for. I think we pulled it off pretty well. I have nothing into this car. Nothing. But it gets 16 miles to the gallon. We drive it everywhere, anywhere, gas station, you know, supermarket parking lot. You can put it anywhere, and just there's nothing you can do to this car to take value away from it, because it didn't have any value. So yeah, we'll have a segment on that. We had to redo the back brakes on it because after like 6 or 7 burnout contests, the rear brake shoes are no longer connected. So we got to go through and redo rear brakes on it. And then we move on to my wife's cars. This is a 1978 Plymouth Valori Richard Petty street car. Is what they called it. 1978 only. They put these big old goofy fender flares on it and 43s. They wanted to try and get Richard Petty back into racing Mopar and NASCAR. They built this car just for that. And yeah, so they put the fender flares on. They made them 1 year only. They made 247 of the Plymouths. And there's only about, I think there's about 45 to 50 left that are known they still exist. And then this is the Dodge, which is the same thing, different colors. They made 145 of these. There's about 20 to 25 of these left that are known to still exist in the world, these being 2 of them. We went through, this car has sat since 1982. It was bought by an older gentleman that we knew that just passed away, unfortunately, a couple of years ago. It was in his collection. He bought it in 1989 from the original owners. This thing has 27,000 original miles on it. Has every option that you could ever ask for. AC, power antenna, everything. We went through and rebuilt the motor for this one. We'll put a new 727 on the back of it that we'll have rebuilt. It'll all be numbers matching. The fenders, as you can see, are in primer at the moment. They both were dinged beyond repair. So we put NOS fenders on there. We have to do some hacking and cutting because these aren't just bolt-on fender flares. They're actually cut and horribly massaged to accept the fender flares. You can't just take the fender flares and bolt them on a stock fender. They won't work. They were cut by Cars and Concepts, same people that built the Dodge Daytonas or Daytona Chargers in '69. So we'll have an episode where we go through and modify these fenders and go through that. We'll be doing a whole interior in this car, carpet, rust proofing. We'll do all new Eastwood coating in the roof. We'll have we'll be going through the AC system. We'll have a segment on that. We're repainting this whole entire engine bay, rewiring the whole thing. It'll all be back to factory, everything. So it'll look like it was brand new in '78. And then the Plymouth, after we put the engine back in the Dodge, we'll be pulling the motor in this and redoing it top to bottom. And this has the horrible 80s used cars lot undercoating on it all over the engine bay. So we'll be doing a segment on how to get that off. All these cars, for some reason, have it. And I have a tried and true system to get all this off without harming the factory paint. So we'll doing a little bit on that. But yeah, we'll be pulling the motor out of this and rebuilding the transmission And then this one already has an 8 3/4 in it. My wife wants to autocross this one when we autocross the Super Coupe. So, and then the Dodge will be strictly show car. We did go through, and these are brand new numbers. These are factory numbers that were on these cars. Buddy of mine reproduces them, so we went through. I put those on. I have to patina them to match the rest of the car's paint, which I'll do a segment on that. Went to school for bodywork for many years, so I know how to make stuff shiny and make stuff look correct. And this one's going to need a lot of work on those decals to make them look correct. So we went through. I know my lighting's horrible, and I apologize for that. But I went through and put a whole new carpet in this, rust-proofed the floors, redid the seam sealer, and we'll go through and redo all of the interior plastics, the original colors. I love Duplicolor. They make a great product. You can buy it straight at O'Reilly's. But it all depends on what color you need. SEM makes also great products. I hear they actually make a Ford Blue that is the right color for this, so we might have to do SEM on this. We'll see how it turns out. But yeah, we'll be doing that and rebuild the motor in it and stuff like that. So yeah, we have lots to do, and hopefully you guys can hang along for the ride and see a little bit of what we do. We do have a 1973 Dodge D200 Cummins conversion coming up that we will be doing. We'll be four-wheel drive converting it and everything. Chuck has new paint, and we're doing the whole Cummins conversion on it. So stay tuned for that. That'll be in a lot of our future segments. There's a lot of guys that take the four-door Dodges from the 72 to 85 era and put Cummins in them. And there's not much for videos out there, so we'd love to do a segment on that. And yeah, we'll be going from there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the little tour. And yeah, this is just part of what we work on. We still got many more cars besides this to do and build, and hang along for the ride. Stay tuned. Thanks.